Most people who are in the market for a new graphics card have one primary question in mind: which card will give me the most bang for my buck? Obviously, the answer will vary depending on your budget. Beyond that, there are a number of factors to consider. Raw performance is important, but so are things like noise, the driver experience, and supplemental software. Let us make it easy for you. We have tested nearly every major GPU that's hit the streets over the past couple of years, from $100 budget cards to $1,800 luxury models. Our knowledge has been distilled into this video. For more information, check out the links in the description below. If this is your first time in our channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for the daily video notifications. So without further ado, let's get started. At the first position of our list, we have AMD Radeon RX 6500 XT, best budget graphics card. Prices may be relaxing, but currently, the much maligned Radeon RX 6500 XT is still the only semi-reasonable sub $250 option around. If you can find it for a good price, Nvidia's GeForce RTX 3050 is a much more capable modern graphics card, but its pricing is typically inflated at around $300. The Radeon RX 6500 XT is less appealing thanks to its nerfed memory, PCI lanes, and limited ports, not to mention lower performance. But you can often find them going for around $200 on the streets these days. Those hardware limitations means you'll need to stick to medium or high graphics settings at 1080p resolution in modern games in order to achieve playable frame rates. But if you do that, you'll enjoy the experience. Moving on to the next at number 2 with AMD Radeon RX 6600, best 1080p graphics card. AMD's Radeon RX 6600 and Nvidia's rival GeForce RTX 3060 both ostensibly carry the same $329 MSRP, but on the streets, there's a much wider gap. You can find the 6600 going for prices starting around $300, while the cheapest RTX begins at around $400. These are both steep entry costs for 1080p gaming, at least compared to the GPUs of yesteryear. But with 8GB of fast GDDR6 memory, insanely good power efficiency, and AMD's Radeon Super Resolution in tow, the Radeon RX 6600 is a great graphics card for people looking to game at 1080p resolution at 60 FPS or higher without compromising on visual fidelity or breaking the bank. The number 3 position is held by Nvidia GeForce RTX 3050, best 1080p graphics card for ray tracing. Nvidia is on its second generation of dedicated ray tracing hardware, and its killer DLSS upsampling feature is in hundreds of games to claw back the performance lost to turning on ray tracing, which carries a steep performance penalty. At $330 plus, it ain't cheap. But if enabling those cutting-edge lighting effects is a priority, you'll want to go with GeForce. The RTX 3060 is another solid option, but it's $400 on the streets and delivers performance on par with the $300 Radeon RX 6600 in games that don't use ray tracing. If you mostly play newer games running on DirectX 12 or Vulkan APIs, Intel's Arc A770 delivers excellent performance there, along with ray tracing chops on par with the RTX 30 series. It struggles with older DirectX 11 titles, however, and this first generation product also comes with a fair share of bugs in its early days. Next at number 4, we have AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT, best 1440p graphics card. In a sane world, Nvidia's GeForce RTX 3060 Ti would dominate 1440p gaming at its $400 MSRP. It's that good, and it offers superior ray tracing performance to AMD's Radeon rivals. But we still aren't living in a sane world, and the RTX 3060 Ti is going for $500 plus on the streets and often $550 to $600. Nvidia's RTX 3070, ostensibly $500, goes for $650 to $700 online. Get AMD's Radeon RX 6700 XT instead. It's plenty fast for 1440p gaming at 60 FPS plus without compromise, while its beefy 12GB of GDDR6 memory provides plenty of headroom for flipping on all the most intense graphical features. The one downside? AMD's card is only capable of playing ray-traced games at 1080p resolution unless you activate Radeon Super Resolution or FSR 1 or 2 in games that support it. On the flip side, the Radeon RX 6700 XT can take advantage of AMD's awesome performance-boosting Smart Access Memory feature if you're running a modern Ryzen system that supports it. The number 5 position is held by Nvidia GeForce RTX 3060 Ti, best 1440p graphics card for ray tracing. Yes, the RTX 3060 Ti remains overpriced compared to its MSRP, going for $500 plus rather than the expected $400, but that's because it's that good. If you want a killer 1440p gaming experience with top-notch ray tracing as the cherry on top, this is the card to buy even at an inflated price. The step-down GeForce RTX 3060 is also worth considering, although you may need to turn down some graphics settings when you enable ray tracing. While the step-up 3070 does not deliver enough of a performance boost to justify spending yet more. The number 6 position is dominated by Nvidia GeForce RTX 3080 Founders Edition, best 4K graphics card. If you've got a 4K 60Hz monitor and want to put all those pixels to work, the RTX 3070, 3070 Ti, and AMD's Radeon RX 6750 XT and RX 6800 are all decent cheaper options. But if you want the best possible experience without any visual compromises, spend $800 and pick up the 10GB version of the RTX 3080. The 1012GB model isn't worth the upcharge despite being slightly more future-proof. The GeForce RTX 3080 packs enough power to blow through games even at 4K resolution with eye candy cranked, including ray-traced games thanks to Nvidia's killer combo of 2nd-gen ray tracing hardware and DLSS. Moving on to the next at number 7 with Radeon RX 6950 XT. The Radeon RX 6950 XT currently represents the ultimate in performance from the RDNA 2 architecture, surpassing the old RX 6900 XT by about 9% on average. AMD set the MSRP at a rather high $1,099 at launch, but we are already seeing cards selling well below that mark. The RX 6950 and 6900 XT are basically the same GPU but with faster 18GB per second GDDR6 on the 6950 along with a higher power limit and slightly higher GPU clocks. The RX 6950 XT boasts slightly more GPU cores than the RX 6800 XT, and combined with the difference in clock speeds, the 6950 XT is about 15% faster overall. However, the 6950 XT costs about 60% more, while the 6900 XT goes for about $200 less. So opting for AMD's penultimate GPU over the top card isn't a terrible idea. Finally, the number 8 position is held by GeForce RTX 2060. Getting down to a price point of $200 requires making some compromises, like dropping support for ray tracing and DLSS and opting for Nvidia's previous generation GTX 1660. For $30 more, we'd much rather have the significantly faster and more capable GeForce RTX 2060. It's still a great card, even if it is using the older Turing architecture. The RTX 2060 6GB is over 65% faster than the RX 6500 XT below, beats the newer RTX 3050 by about 8%, and outperforms the GTX 1660 Super by about 25%. There are a few edge cases where the extra 2GB VRAM helps the 3050, but the increased memory bandwidth and compute performance on the 2060 generally wins out. You could also look for an RTX 2060 12GB if you are worried about VRAM capacity, but supplies seem to be drying up and those currently cost well over $300. That's all for today. We upload tech product review videos every single day, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.